Okay, let's unpack this. We've got Padre Fábio de Melo, a really well-known figure, right?
Absolutely, a household name for many.
And he comes out saying he's basically on the verge of quitting public life, afraid to even go outside. So what happened here?
It's quite dramatic, and it seems to stem from one specific incident, but the fallout was massive and very public.
Right. The trigger seems to be an accusation he made. He publicly called out store manager in Joinville.
And the consequence was immediate. The manager was fired. Just like that.
That's a huge impact from just one statement, isn't it? Shows the power involved.
Definitely. A public figure's words can have these incredibly real-world effects on ordinary people.
But then came the twist. This is where it gets really messy. A video surfaced.
Yes, and the video apparently didn't quite match the Padre's story.
Exactly. So suddenly, the whole narrative flips. He goes from accuser to, well, being accused himself of lying, basically.
And that's often what happens, you know? Visuals carry so much weight these days. If a video seems to contradict a story, especially from someone powerful,
people jump on it. Trust erodes fast.
Precisely. Public skepticism kicks in.
And the reaction was swift. The Padre shut down comments on his social media.
And the person who was actually with him at the store locked down their accounts, too. A kind of digital circling of the wagons.
Yeah, you see that a lot when the online pressure gets intense. It's a defense mechanism.
Can be, though sometimes it just makes people more suspicious, like, what are they hiding?
So today, we're going to do a deep dive. We'll walk through the events, the fallout, drawing on what various online sources and investigators have pieced together.
It's a fascinating case study, really, about public image, social media dynamics, and how quickly things can spiral.
Okay, let's start at the very beginning. The initial accusation, Padre Fábio makes this public claim about the store manager interaction.
We don't have the exact words of the accusation from our sources, but the outcome is clear. The manager lost his job immediately.
That speed is something else. It speaks volumes about the influence involved, maybe before all sides were heard.
It certainly raises questions about process, yeah. The potential for damage is huge right from the get-go.
Then, bam, the video. This seems to be the turning point. It surfaces, and allegedly, it just doesn't line up with the Padre's account.
And that discrepancy, that's what really fueled the backlash. The accusations of dishonesty started flying.
It's amazing how one piece of visual media can completely reshape the story, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Seeing is believing for many people, especially if it challenges what they've been told.
And the Padre's response, closing those social media comments, a pretty clear sign he was feeling the heat.
Yeah, it signals the kind of negativity coming his way. But like we said, it can also create distance, leave questions unanswered.
Now, this is where it gets interesting with online investigators. A YouTube channel, Semente a Minha Opinião.
Right, known for digging into current events.
Along with commentators like Dan Pimpound and Rutan, they started bringing more details out.
It shows how independent creators are playing this role now, you know, offering different takes, digging where maybe mainstream media hasn't yet.
And through them, we learned the manager's name, Leandro Rodriguez. Sometimes called Jair, too, apparently.
Putting a name and face to it makes it much more real, doesn't it? It's not just a controversy, it's about this person's life.
Yeah, shifts the focus. And Dan Pimpel, one of the commentators, he gave the Padre a nickname.
Ah, yes, Padre Fábio de Melo.
Padre Honeycomb. A bit cheeky, maybe a bit sarcastic, given the situation.
It's often how public opinion shifts, isn't it? Using humor or mockery to signal criticism when someone's actions are questioned.
What's also notable is Leandro Rodriguez, the manager, he wasn't totally unknown. He had, over 30,000 Instagram followers.
Right, so he had some kind of public profile already. Maybe through his work or interests, not just some random person caught in the crossfire.
And it seems he was actually involved with Padre Fábio's team. Promoting shows, events on his Instagram stories.
Oh, interesting. So they had a working relationship.
Looks like it, which adds, well, another layer of complexity, doesn't it?
It really does. Makes you think about loyalty, trust. If a close relationship breaks down so publicly, it feels even more intense. Betrayal, maybe.
Then there's this other discovery, Leandro's privacy account.
Okay, so privacy is a platform, right? Often used for adult content where creators share stuff with subscribers.
Exactly. And that's the context here. It's important to be clear, though. Our sources don't say what was on Leandro's account specifically.
No, just that the platform is known for that kind of content and that often male creators there cater to a male audience. That was an observation made.
And the key thing is that privacy account. It's been deactivated since all this blew up.
Which could mean anything, really. Could be because of the scrutiny, could be personal reasons, totally unrelated. We just don't know why.
Right. An interesting detail, but hard to draw firm conclusions from the deactivation itself.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift to Padre Fábio's response. Or maybe the lack of a direct response to the core issue, the alleged lie. He put out a long Instagram post.
He did, and it was, well, quite philosophical, wasn't it?
Very. Talked about people wanting to hate, needing targets for negativity, existential angst.
Yeah, framing the backlash he was getting in these very broad societal terms.
He also blamed political polarization, the cruelty of social media, called the internet a devil's tool.
Which is kind of ironic, isn't it?
Right, because he used social media for the initial accusation that cost the manager his job, and now he's using it to complain about social media.
It does highlight that tricky relationship public figures have with these platforms. They need them, but they can also get burned by them. Criticizing the tool while using it, it raises eyebrows.
He also insisted he was being attacked from both sides politically.
That's a common defense strategy, trying to seem like you're caught in the crossfire, above the fray.
But one source pointed out there's a perception he leans more one way politically. So does that claim hold up?
Well, it can be met with skepticism, can't? If people already perceive a leaning, claiming attacks from both sides might seem like an attempt to deflect the actual criticism by making it sound purely political.
But the most striking thing, for me anyway, was what wasn't in his post. No direct apology, no, oops, maybe I got it wrong.
No acknowledgement that his version might not have matched the video evidence or that his accusation led to someone losing their livelihood. Nothing like that.
Why do you think he avoided that? Just doubling down. Legal reasons.
Could be a mix, fear of admitting fault, maybe legal advice, maybe just believing his initial perception was right despite the video. But that silence on the core discrepancy, it definitely seemed to keep the controversy going.
And he ended the post saying he was one step away from giving up. Pretty heavy.
It is. It certainly communicates his distress, but the timing, some might see it as shifting focus from the manager's situation to his own feelings, maybe seeking sympathy.
Yeah, it clouds the issue a bit. Okay, so let's turn to Leandro Rodriguez, the manager who was fired. Ricardo Feltrin reported on his situation.
And it sounds tough. He's unemployed now. It even disrupted his law studies.
These are real, tangible consequences. It brings it back down to earth, doesn't it? Beyond the online drama.
Absolutely. It's easy to forget the human cost when focusing on the public figure.
And what does Leandro say he wants? According to the reporting, it's mainly to regain his dignity.
Not revenge, not trying to capitalize on it, just wants his reputation back, a sense of normalcy. It suggests a certain character.
And then, perhaps the most remarkable part, he apparently forgave Padre Fábio.
Yes. Despite everything that happened, the job loss, the public scrutiny, he expressed forgiveness.
That's quite something, especially when you contrast it with the Padre's response.
It's a stark contrast, isn't it? The person directly harmed choosing forgiveness, while the person whose actions caused the harm took a more defensive, philosophical stance, really highlights different ways of handling conflict.
Leandro also decided not to do lots of interviews, even though he probably could have.
Right. He reportedly feared being seen as opportunistic, or maybe making things worse for himself long term.
Seems like a very cautious, maybe calculated approach. I'm trying to navigate this carefully.
It suggests a level of maturity, perhaps prioritizing long-term recovery over a short-term media splash.
And he's mentioned leaning on his faith through all this.
Which seems to be a key source of strength for him, helping him cope with the whole ordeal.
Now, let's bring in another voice, commentator Ricardo Dias. He had a pretty sharp take.
Yes, and he used that nickname, Padre de Taubaté.
Right. And for anyone listening who doesn't know, that's a reference to a famous Brazilian meme about someone who tells unbelievable lies. It's a direct hit.
Using that nickname immediately signals deep distrust, doesn't it? It frames the Padre within this cultural context of dishonesty right away. Very cutting.
Dias's main criticisms were pretty clear. No apology for the Padre, no owning the alleged lie.
Instead, Dias points out he blamed external factors, social media, politics. Dias seemed to find that disingenuous.
Especially since, as we discussed, the Padre uses those same platforms himself.
Yeah.
What's the core of Dias's critique?
It really seems to boil down to accountability. Dias is essentially saying the Padre didn't take responsibility for his words and actions and instead tried to shift the blame.
Dias also questioned the attack from both sides claim, suggesting the Padre actually leans more to the left-wing side Why bring politics into it again?
Well, it suggests the backlash might not just be about the specific incident, but perhaps colored by existing political divides. Dias implies the criticism isn't coming equally from everywhere, maybe challenging the Padres' framing.
And Dias really highlights the contrast between the Padres' actions and Leandro's forgiveness.
Yeah, implying the manager, the one who suffered the consequences, actually showed more virtue, more grace in his response. It's a powerful moral comparison.
It sort of flips the script,
Yeah.
suggesting the person with less power acted with more integrity.
Exactly, a kind of moral inversion, as perceived by the critic.
And then there's that final ironic twist Dias mentioned. Padre Fábio's actual parish. It's in Tabate.
Oh, wow. The actual city associated with the liar meme.
You couldn't make it up, really. The geographical detail just amplifies the nickname, makes it stick even more for critics.
It adds this layer of almost poetic or maybe just unfortunate irony. Critics would absolutely seize on that.
And finally, Dias brings it back to the human cost, reminding everyone about Leandro's lost job, his interrupted studies.
Which is crucial. It grounds the whole thing, reminding us that behind the online arguments and public statements, someone's life was significantly impacted.
So, wrapping this up, we're left with big questions. What really happened in that store? Why the stark difference between the accounts?
And maybe more broadly, what does this whole episode tell us about fame, social media, accountability, especially in today's world?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Consider the Padres' reflections on online negativity versus his initial actions.
Yeah, who really understood the power and the potential harm of online communication in this situation. It's a provocative thought to leave you with.
And if you want to explore more, maybe look up that Padre de Tobate meme. He gives real context to some of the criticism.
Or just think about the ethics of it all. Public accusations, incomplete information, how quickly things can escalate online. Definitely a lot to mull over.